Shaanxi, China. Hillsides began to crumble, rivers overflowed, and mountain valleys turned into roaring channels of destruction. But nobody expected what happened next. By the time the skies cleared, villages were gone. Roads vanished under brown, swirling water. And the province of Shaanxi stood on the edge of disaster, a place where the land itself seemed to collapse under the weight of the storm. Days of pounding rain had turned peaceful valleys into violent rivers. What had once been calm farmlands now looked like shattered islands surrounded by rushing torrents. Across the province, bridges twisted apart. Asphalt cracked open. Entire roads buckled under landslides. Villages deep in the hills stood cut off from the world, isolated and silent except for the constant thunder of the flood. For rescue crews, every step became a battle. The roads were gone, the bridges were gone, and the communication lines were down. Relief trucks could not get through. Helicopters hovered above flooded valleys, scanning for people stranded on rooftops or clinging to debris. In many places, the only option was to carve new paths through the mud and rubble just to reach the trapped and the injured. In the towns and cities of Shaanxi, things weren't much better. The rain poured into low-lying neighborhoods, filling streets and courtyards with thick brown water. Schools and clinics turned into muddy shells. Shops stood coated in silt, their shelves stripped bare. Residents began the slow work of survival, scooping mud out of doorways, cleaning soaked homes, trying to find what could still be saved. Public buildings opened their doors as emergency shelters. Families walked through the rain, carrying only what they could hold. Inside, volunteers handed out blankets and instant noodles. Workers set up pumps to drain water, repaired sewage lines and disinfected wells. The first priority was clear: safe drinking water. Without it, the risk of disease would rise faster than the river itself. Out in the countryside, the destruction ran even deeper. Fields that once fed entire towns disappeared beneath brown sheets of floodwater. Rice paddies were gone. Cornfields were torn apart. The force of the torrents ripped away the top layer of fertile soil, leaving behind only stones and sand. For farmers, this wasn't just damage. It was the loss of a season's work, maybe even a year's future. Irrigation channels that once carried life-giving water were choked with debris. Small bridges that linked farms to the outside world collapsed under the pressure. Rural recovery couldn't even begin until these lifelines were restored. Agricultural teams arrived with seed, fertilizer, and machinery, trying to bring some hope back to the broken farmlands. Reservoirs across Shaanxi came under severe strain. As inflows surged, engineers faced a terrifying choice: hold the water back and risk collapse, or release it and flood the plains below. Authorities ordered controlled discharges to relieve pressure, sending even more water downstream, but preventing catastrophic dam failures. Inspection teams worked through the night, checking embankments, reinforcing spillways, and patching cracks before the next wave of rain. Electricity grids failed when poles and substations went underwater. In some districts, entire towns went dark. Hospitals, command centers, and shelters ran on portable generators as engineers scrambled to restore power. The floods didn't only break power lines, they broke communication. Fiber cables snapped in washed-out gullies. Mobile towers stood stranded on ridges, surrounded by landslides. For rescue teams, coordination became a nightmare. Crews trudged through knee-deep mud just to reconnect one signal tower, knowing that without communication, no one knew where help was needed most. Bulldozers and trucks rolled through debris, pushing away mud and rock just to reopen the highways. Teams assessed damage to schools, hospitals, and bridges. Provincial funds were released to repair what they could. Municipal fleets became disaster units, hauling away wreckage and pumping floodwater out of tunnels and underpasses. Volunteers joined in, line by line, street by street, shoveling mud, clearing garbage, and rebuilding what was left. In small neighborhoods, recovery began not with official orders, but with human kindness. Neighbors shared food and tools. Some gave up their dry homes to shelter others. Local cooperatives mobilized tractors and scraped off layers of mud, while government teams distributed fresh seed to farmers. Meanwhile, new storms loomed on the horizon. Meteorologists warned that rainfall could intensify again in northern China, putting even more pressure on provinces like Shaanxi. Rivers across the country were already swollen. Dozens had flooded beyond safe limits. In neighboring Hebei, landslides had already claimed lives. Across the north, rescue forces worked non-stop under President Xi Jinping's call for all-out efforts to minimize casualties.
好了好了，这怕才是真正的水泥路啊！水跟泥巴混合一起，就变成了水泥路啊！这路上都是石子儿，还有这水泥路。这雨下大了，怕可要养水呢。你看这路上成啥了？
In Shaanxi, the storm's fury reached deep into its mountains, places near Xi'an, Datong, and the surrounding highlands. Emergency workers swam into the building, tied ropes around frail shoulders, and pulled 48 people to safety. It was a small victory in a province drowning in loss. By now, electricity cuts affected tens of thousands. Communication remained patchy. Villages high in the mountains were still unreachable. Every valley told the same story, one of endurance and fear, but also of human effort that refused to stop. Across China, the pattern was repeating. Record rains hit province after province: Hebei, Jilin, Shandong, Hunan. 41 rivers had already flooded. The country's vast drainage system, built over decades, was under immense strain. Northern cities like Beijing saw their highest rainfall in years. In Miyun, water released from reservoirs swept through towns, forcing over 10,000 people to evacuate. Scientists pointed to a troubling trend. Global warming may be turning China's north, once dry and predictable, into a region of dangerous extremes. That's all for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more clear and calm reports on extreme weather events. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Please note that some footage in this video is for illustrative purposes and may not depict the exact events described. Thank you for watching and stay safe.
น้องต้นเจียวขนาดครับ